Hi and welcome. It's been a while since I filmed a video. Between moving house and being away, this is the first chance I've had to film, and I've got lots of plant chores to catch up with. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing some repotting, and I've been going to be doing lots of chores that I've been putting off for a while. I'm going to completely chop up a plant and start again, and I'm also going to be doing some moss pole work as well. So yeah, that's what's going to be going on in today's video. Before I get into the video, hi, my name is Alexis and this is Wild Houseplants. I'm a houseplant enthusiast and I also work as a houseplant technician, which basically means when I'm not looking after my own plants, I'm looking after other people's. If you don't follow me over on Instagram or TikTok, you can find me there at Wild Houseplants. And if you do enjoy this video today, I'd love it if you hit that subscribe button below because it really does help out my channel. Okay, so yeah, it's been a couple of months since we've moved house. But we pretty much moved in, and then about a week and a half, 2 weeks later, we went on holiday. We went to Australia to visit some family, which was amazing. But it was kind of mad to be moving in here and then thinking about leaving my plants for such a long time. And I will do a separate video on how I kept them happy while I was gone, but everybody is alive and well. So that is really great news. I'm still getting my head around the watering schedules in this house. This room in particular, where most of my plants are housed, just gets so much natural light, and it gets so hot in here when the sun is out that I'm still sort of getting used to the routine. The humidity is really low in here. It's like kind of 40s, sometimes in the 30s, whereas in my old house it never really dropped much below 50. So it's really strange because it's like just the difference in a couple of, streets basically, but the house itself is just very different. So much drier in this room. But yeah, I have got some things on my list to do today that I have been putting off for a really long time. And so yeah, we're going to start with the first thing, which is going to be repotting this plant, which is my Oxalis Triangularis, or commonly called the purple shamrock. And this plant was looking amazing last summer, and she still looks pretty good, but I know from just feeling the pot that she's feeling really firm. I can feel all the corms, the bulbs just like pushing against the outside of the pot, and I think she's probably needing a size up for a while, and I've kind of been putting it off until spring because I didn't want to disrupt her, because these plants can go dormant, and I managed to keep her going all winter. She never went dormant. She definitely looked a bit more leggy. She's still definitely looking a bit more leggy now. I'll put in a picture of how she looked towards the end of last summer, and she just looked so amazing. So I want to get her back to that full glory. It's also interesting because this plant lived in the south-facing window in my last house, and I've got a south-facing window here just next to me, but the difference between those two south-facing windows is mad. So in the last house, I had a row of houses opposite, so it wasn't like an unobstructed view of the sky. And I also had some film on the bottom part of the window for some privacy. And this just has a lot more light. And I had her in the window here, and she was just wilting every day. It was just way too much for her. So I've now got her in my living room at the front of the house under a grow light. And like I say, she's doing fine, but I know that she can be doing better. I can just feel how firm this pot is. So let me get my potting mix together, and we'll start by having a look at this root system. Okay, so I've got my little potting tray here, and I've got my potting mix. So this potting mix is, I change my mix up quite a lot. It always starts with the same base, which is cocoa core, perlite and pumice, or sometimes I'll mix in a bit of semi-hydro. And then in addition to this one, I've also got some of these cocoa chips, and these aren't ideal for all plants because they're pretty moisture retentive and they're also quite chunky. But these Oxalis are like super thirsty, so I think they will really like this moisture retentiveness from the cocoa chips. And the only other thing I was going to add in quickly is some tree fern fibre, so I'll just grab that quickly. No, we're not, because I can't find it, and that's what I mean about that we're still definitely trying to find our way in this house, because we're not fully unpacked with everything. And so anything that's not like essential, like some of my houseplanty things, I still haven't quite unpacked. But anyway, this will still be absolutely fine. I was just hoping to add in some tree fern fibre for some extra nutrients, but it'll be absolutely fine without as well. So I'm going to try and, it's a really tight fit. I'm going to try and squeeze this out of here without, there we go. Right. So I'll hold this up so hopefully you can see. So yeah, I think what I'm feeling pushing against, you see these little bulbs here? This is what I can feel pushing against the side of the pot, and you can see as well around here, all these new shoots that are wanting to come up and are probably struggling for room a little bit. Lots of nice root system here. They've got a very, very fine root system, which is why they require quite a lot of moisture. So yeah, let's just pull off anything that's, any of the little kind of stems that have died off, gone a bit like sad and crispy. I'll just remove any leaves that are looking a little bit floppy or the leaves have gone over. I'll remove those as well. But generally with this one, I'm pruning it kind of almost daily. I'll just walk along and look at it and just see any that are looking a bit sad, and you can literally just pick them out with your hands. They come out really easily. So what I should have done is find a pot, shouldn't I? Let me grab a pot. As you can see, I'm not quite back in the routine of filming. Okay, so as per usual, I can never find the perfect pot. And both of these, so this is a tower pot, which is definitely taller, but doesn't offer that much more growth outwards. Whereas this one, yeah, okay, I'm gonna go with this one. It's a bit bigger than I would like, but I think we'll make it work. Okay, so I'm just gonna put some of the mix into the bottom of this pot. And then I'm not going to disturb the root ball in any way, shape or form, because as I said, the root system is really, really fine. And you don't want to be messing with it because, yeah, it will just mess it up. And there's no need for me to break up the root ball. It's not like there's any rot in there or any issues like that. So I've just got like that much there in the bottom. And then these stems are so delicate, so it's more than likely that we will lose a few friends along the way. Come on, mate. Like that. And then I'm just gonna place that in the center and then just backfill all around. This will hopefully mean that she won't need watering quite so frequently as well, because yeah, she's drying out kind of every few days at the moment. Oops. If you've got one of these, let me know if yours went dormant over the winter. It's really hard, and I think it's a combination of, they tend to come in a very dense mix, which although they like moisture retentive mixes, if it's a very dense mix and then you're watering frequently, the roots can suffer. And then in the winter, yeah, if you're not providing enough light or continuing to support the light, so that's either by making sure it's still in like a south window, getting a good view of the sky, or under a grow light, then more than likely that yours may have gone dormant. But they are really resilient, and as long as the root system is okay, once they feel that the weather is warming up again, they should bounce back. I do have a dedicated care video on this plant, so I will link that down below. She's looking a bit upset because I'm messing with her, and they really don't like to be manhandled too much. They will start to sort of wilt. So she knows something's going on. But as soon as I give her a drink and pop her back in her place, then she should hopefully recover. Last time I repotted this plant, it had a massive growth spurt, so hopefully the same thing will happen again this time. She kind of looks even more sparse now because she's in a much bigger pot. Okay, I think I'm happy with that. Got one little flower only at the moment, so as the summer's on, she will produce a lot more flowers, and they are really, really pretty. Okay, cool. I am happy with that. As I say, she definitely looks a bit like, what the hell have you done to me? But she will perk up again. So first thing done, and the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to completely chop up my Rhaphidophora Tetrasperma, which is currently climbing the wall, because I just don't like how it's growing. It's gone through quite a lot. It's been broken. It's been bashed about a little bit in the move. And so some of the leaves are really big and beautiful and some are small. It just I just don't like the look of it anymore. So I'm going to chop it up, start again, give some cuttings away, and also, yeah, obviously just propagate them for myself, and then just start the plant again from scratch to get her back to her former glory. So the next thing on the to-do list is to chop up this Rhaphidophora Tetrasperma. And as I said, like, it's been climbing the wall for some time, but it's been in a few different locations. It's snapped many, many times. I'll show you some close-ups. And while some of the leaves are really big and beautiful, then there's also like really random teeny tiny leaves that it just doesn't give off a nice cohesive look. And I'm just not sure that I want it taking up all this space on the wall, because I really like the idea of filling this wall with some artwork. So yeah, let's chop it up. Okay, so this trellis I can definitely use for something else. And that's all that's left there of the plant, which, to be honest, I'll probably just bin that because I'll have so many cuttings. I don't think I need to do wet sticks or grow that back. We'll see, maybe I will. It's all about space. Okay, I've chopped it up into these longer stems. So you can see here, for example, that's where it snapped in the past and then it's had to start again. That's where it snapped in the past and then started again. Obviously, when you grow plants like this very long, they can snap. It's just when you're trying to move them around or whatever else, things happen. So I'm just going to go and have a look at each leaf and just see what I think I want to save. bearing in mind what the leaf looks like. So this section here is one of the bottom sections. All the leaves are looking a bit sad, but I will probably just cut them all up for now, let them callus over, and then we can just see. So I'm doing single leaf cuttings for all of them. And so I like to do like this kind of little T shape. You want to make sure that you've still got the node attached. You don't want to just be doing a single leaf without the stem and the node attached, otherwise that's never going to propagate. And I'll probably just propagate these in water. These propagate really, really easily. You could also use damp perlite or moss. It's just, for me personally, they root in water, so I don't need to use up another substrate. I'll save those for some fussier propagations. So I'm going to end up with a lot of cuttings. And I'm just going to work my way through. A lot of these leaves are really, really dusty as well. So I'm going to give them all a really good clean. Not with my finger, but in the shower or under the tap, which will help them photosynthesize better. Because this is a top section here and it's looking quite nice, I think what I'll probably do, that one, lose that leaf and then propagate that as a top section. So there's like 3 leaves on there. A lot of cuttings here, and I'm just going to let them callus. You don't really need to, you can pop them straight in water, but I'm just going to let them callus while I'm doing other planty chores, and then I will pop them all into several vases of water. They will probably start producing roots in a couple of weeks, and I'll probably be ready to pot them up in around about 6 weeks, maybe a month. I'll basically just wait until maybe we've got some secondary, not secondary roots, but more than one root, or the roots are kind of several centimeters long. And like I say, like if there's a particularly fussy cutting, you might want to wait until that root system's a little bit more established. But these plants propagate brilliantly. You could probably propagate them directly into soil if you wanted to. I just prefer to get them going in water before I put them into soil, or they'll also do really well in semi-hydro as well. Right, the next thing on the list, and the thing I've been putting off a lot, is I've got 2 epipremnum on moss poles. One is my Neon Pothos, and the other one is my my Mandula. And they're both on moss poles that I've made myself with wire mesh, but they are on wire mesh, which is like a plastic mesh, and it's not stable. And I want to get them onto the plastic backed, the plastic moss poles, because they're better for moisture retention and they're easier and they stack better. So yeah, let's do the neon one first, I think. So this is my neon pothos on a pole, or epipremnum. I hope that you can see her. Obviously she started off with these very small leaves and the leaves have grown. There are 3 vines on here, but this vine down here never really did very much. So I'm just going to chop that one off. Actually, there's 2 vines down here. I don't know if you can see this. These 2 here never really took off, never really attached onto the pole. So I'm just going to cut those 2 off and I'll propagate them. And they can just be trailing ones or add them into my big trailing pot. And then I've got 2 vines on here that have established well. As you can see, you've got lots of aerial roots that have grown through the moss. I hydrated the moss really well yesterday, and I did make a chop just here this morning. Hopefully you can see that. So really what I want to do is get this top section. Oh, sorry, that's the chop I'd made of the smaller stem, and of the bigger stem, I made a chop just down here. So I will lose the bottom part of this. So I don't lose it, I'll just chop them up and propagate them. But yeah, we want to try and get this top section unscathed off the pole. And then ideally, I'd like to get her on to one of the plastic backed poles. Now, obviously this isn't easy because she has grown roots into this pole. And I have tried to transfer a moss pole to moss pole before and it didn't go very well. It wasn't with an epipremnum though, and epipremnum are generally pretty easygoing guys. Let's just get rid of that stem there with nothing on it. The moss is really, really well hydrated. I literally watered it yesterday because I didn't want the roots to be extra upset. And I'm just going to try and get her off this moss pole without damaging too much of the root system. And we'll see how we go. You can see that she is, let's see if, at the top of the moss pole anyway, and she's got these aerial roots at the top that are desperately looking for more moss. So let's get this wooden, but if I let go of this pole now, it would just fall. It's just not, it's never, it was one of the first moss poles I ever made and I didn't do a very good job at it. And that's okay because, you know, we all have to start somewhere. And since then, plastic back moss poles have become much more of a thing and they are so much easier because I am pretty horrendous at keeping my moss poles moist. It's and even more tricky in this house because it's so dry. But I'm just going to try and take it off here. So yeah, we are starting to get more settled in this house. The downstairs is definitely looking more settled, like this room and the living room. Upstairs is still a total disaster. And it's definitely feeling more crowded in terms of the plants in this house because at the last house we'd done the loft conversion and I had quite a few plants upstairs in the loft. And in this house, we don't have a loft conversion yet. We are planning to do one, but it hasn't, you know, it's going to take time. It hasn't been done yet. So all the plants are pretty much downstairs. And so it definitely feels a little bit more chaotic with the number of plants. We had some friends come around yesterday and they were like, have you got more plants than you did before? And I was like, no, I don't. I haven't, you know, bought any more plants since I've moved in here. But I think it just feels like there's more plants in here, you know. But yeah, we'll get there. We will get there. I think I'm quite impatient and I like things to look great straight away, but I've got to remember that it's all about the journey. It's all about trying to enjoy the journey and not just constantly be searching for that end result. So yeah, we'll get there. Oh my goodness. And yeah, we went to Australia, which was amazing. It's mad to think like there are just like Monstera, Philodendron, Bird of Paradise, alocasia just growing on the street. My brother has all of these plants just growing in his back garden. And I've been to Australia before because my brother's been there for, gosh, over 20 years now. But I wasn't into plants when I went before, and I probably just didn't notice them. So when I was there this time, it just seemed much, I was like fascinated. I was just like, wow, this is crazy. And that is the joy of living in a, you know, subtropical climate, isn't it? That you've got all these wonderful plants that you can grow outside all year round. And we were really, really lucky with the weather because obviously they are going into their autumn. Well, they are in autumn now. But we were really lucky, and my mum's still there, and she says the weather's now definitely changed, and it's pretty like rainy now. And we were really lucky. We had quite a few beach days and still had lots of nice weather, which is good because when you've got kids and it's raining, it's like trying to find things to do. But we did lots of lovely things, and it rained at night, which is why it still looked like all the plants looked so lush. But we didn't really have much rain in the day at all. But the weather's obviously really just changed now. The seasons have changed. Right, I'm trying to work cutting off all the cable ties. Right, so that top section's just come off here. This is where I have to be very, very careful. And if I can reuse this moss, I would like to, because there's nothing wrong with the moss at all. Just got to try and gently ease things out without disturbing anything too much. There's a very big root that's just here. I hope you can see what I'm doing. But yeah, we've had a crazy weather week here as well, because just a few days ago it was like 28 degrees. And now today it's 7. So good old English weather, completely unpredictable. You know, can't really make any plans because you don't know what's going on with the weather. But yeah. Okay, let's work this bit out here. Right, that's that top extension that I did gone. And there's lots of nice roots there. So now I've just got to try and like not damage the leaves too much as well, because I don't want to break any of the leaves or scratch them up too much. You can see why I've probably been putting this job off for 6 months. And there'd be no way for me to extend this pole because it's so unstable, and I wouldn't even be able to do a chop and extend because, again, putting anything on the top would make it unstable. So I feel like this is the only option that I have at the moment. But if you think I should have done it another way, let me know in the comments if you can think of an easier way, but I don't know what it would be. Right, so when am I gonna, okay, so that bit's that out there. I'm just trying to gently like ease away the moss from the roots. So we're almost off this like second extension that I've added on. These roots really don't want to come out of this. There we go. Okay, so if I can just get this second bit off. Ah, don't break, don't break. Oh, I think I've got a really long root here. So let's just cut the mesh off. I've also got the pot, which is probably going to fall on the floor and put soil everywhere. Okay, second bit off. So as you can see, you've got all these little roots here, all activated all the way down, and then some really big ones that have grown in as well. But all these, one, the moss pole is helping that plant obviously grow up, so it supports like they would do in nature, but also when I'm fertilizing the moss, it's able to access all the nutrients in the moss as well, which helps the plant receive more nutrients and size up as well. So basically it's all about helping the plant mature, and that's why the leaves get bigger as they climb up. I know a lot of people seem to be moving, oh, I've just lost a root, moving away from moss poles. I know a few planty people have been discussing this recently, just because of the how high maintenance they are, and I do understand that, but I also love the growth that they're able to achieve. So that's the smaller stem all out there. Just going to pop that one over there, and then let's get this bigger stem free. It's not far to go now. Yeah, I don't have loads and loads of moss poles, and I do find the plastic back ones are really much easier to maintain. So for me, I don't want to stop using moss poles, but I also don't want to have loads and loads to the point where it's completely overwhelming as well. So I think it's just about choosing a few select plants that you really want to get the best out of, and then sort of focusing on those, because there's so many plants you can get on a moss pole, but I don't feel the need to sort of do it with every single plant in order to then completely overwhelm myself. Also, like when it comes to even just like trying to find the space for them, obviously they grow really tall vertically, and even trying to find like shelving units to try and like fit them all in and stuff like that, it's a space issue for most people, and it's definitely a space issue for me. I haven't yet found like a setup for my moss poles that I'm happy with, but I would like to have them all together, because I find that therefore grouping plants together that have similar care requirements is really useful, but it doesn't always display things the best. So like I like to have different plants next to each other to sort of give aesthetically a nice look, but it is easier to group them in terms of their care requirements, so that I'm like, okay, these are the plants that I need to water more regularly, these are the plants that have got moss poles, so they need to be the moss pole needs to be watered regularly. Oh my god, I've got to get this really long root out here. That's what I'm trying to work with at the moment. But yeah, I'm not giving up on them, but I'm also not going to be putting everything on a moss pole. Okay, we're out. Okay, so those last few bits on here, I will just propagate these and then add that into my hanging pothos. I have a hanging pothos just on my fridge, so I can just top up that one with those and those and those, and put that down there for now. And then, yeah, that is my big top section there with all those roots, and I've somehow now got to try and get this onto a new moss pole. So let me go and grab that. Okay, so I've got my large plastic moss pole here. Just going to take the film off. I've seen like some planty people in America and Canada do these like front opening moss poles, but I haven't found any in the UK. If you have, please let me know where you get them from, because when it comes to transferring plants from one pole to another, it makes it so much easier if I could access through the front. But with these ones, what I'm going to have to do is try and insert the nodes into here because it closes at the back. So yeah, not much I can do about that. This is the large one, and then I've also got, I can either put another large one on, or I've got a slightly smaller one that I could do as an extension, because I think one's definitely not going to be long enough. But we'll see how it gets on. Maybe I shouldn't do the other one yet. My Mandula isn't desperate yet. Maybe I should leave that one, see how this one gets on before I mess with two of them. That might be a plan. Right, how big do I want this to be? Yeah, I think that will be good. Can be a little bit fussy. I tend to work my way along, get them all like in position, and then I'll click them all into place. I think these moss poles were from Grow Tropicals, but my favourite ones are actually from Soil Ninja. The frosted ones, but last time I was shopping they were out of stock, so I went with these ones, which are absolutely fine. I just find them a little bit more difficult to work with. Right, so that's our moss pole like that, and I'm thinking that I'm going to put the roots in and then add the moss. We'll see. I never really use these things, to be honest with you. I just tend to bend them in. I find they're not really very necessary. Oh, that's a good point, Alexis, actually. That's not going to work as an extension on there, is it? Silly. So I'll have to use the bigger one. So yeah, we'll see how we go. So I'll do the bigger cutting first. I feel like I need to concentrate, so I might just quietly do this and put some music on while I get this done. What I'm basically trying to do is, one, get it in the center of the moss pole, and to get all the big roots in first, and then I can work on all the smaller roots. previously I had this plant in soil, but I'm going to transfer it to semi-hydro, and that is simply because I actually find it easier to do semi-hydro with moss poles, and that's because when you're watering the moss pole, I don't have to worry about over watering the soil, and I can even like leave a reservoir, so like I can water the moss pole. Any water that sat at the bottom of the pot, I can just leave it there. I don't have to worry about like emptying out the pots and things like that. Now, what I may have to do is just lose a couple of these leaves at the bottom. I think that one and that one, sadly. Let's put a little bit in the bottom. Oh, actually, first, I'm going to put a little bit of lacquer in first to stop the stones falling out. Right, just like that, much lacquer in the bottom. A few of the smaller ones fall out, but generally it's not as bad. And then I will and then I'm just going to use all this moss, and I'm going to get a little stick to help poke it down. Okay, so this is where we're up to. I've decided not to put the second, was it that one? No, this one over here. I decided not to put this one on as well. I'm just going to go with the one stem. I just think it will look too crowded because obviously the other one was a circular moss pole and this one's a flat one. But I filled some semi-hydro up in this pot here and I've secured it all around. I've used the old moss and put that down to the bottom, and then I'll just continue to work this down. And now I'm adding new moss into the top of the pole, and I've also added on the extension as well, like that. And then I'll just need to secure it with some of this plant Velcro. Now towards the top of the moss pole, you can see it started to go a little bit wonky, and that's just how it started to grow because it was going off the moss pole. So I just need to be a little bit careful of trying to get it straight again. But yeah, we're almost there now. We're just, does take a little bit of time, but we are almost there. So I'm just going to add some new moss into the top of the pole, and then hopefully we'll be done. Okay, that was a bit of a marathon, but we're there. So we've got a little bit of lacquer on the bottom, and then the semi-hydro. I've got 2 moss poles stacked on top of each other so that now she can continue to grow and I can just add more moss as and when she needs it. I've secured her in place in 4 places with this plant Velcro. And yeah, hopefully she adjusts well to the transfer. I'm happy with her, and I'm going to place her on the floor where the Rhaphidophora Tetrasperma was, because there's now a gap there. And yeah, hopefully she will be okay. I'm going to give this moss a water through with some fertilizer now. And yeah, I will report back and let you know how she gets on. I'm not going to do, this is my Mandula. I'm not going to do this one today. 1, because I'm low on moss, and 2, because I want to see how that one gets on. But again, you can see it's on this really flexible moss pole here, which isn't very good. It's coming towards the top of the moss pole, and therefore it needs to be extended. And I don't want to do another floppy moss pole on top because she'll become unstable, and she's stable at the moment, but adding anything else on I think will make her unstable. So we'll see how this one does, how the neon one does, and then I'll see if I'm going to do the same with this one. But yeah, and then all these cuttings that I have from the stems that were on there, I'm just going to propagate these ones in water. Exactly the same as what I did with the Rhaphidophora Tetrasperma. I'm just going to do some single node cuttings. And pop these into water. Again, like with the Rhaphidophora Tetrasperma, they root so easily, Epipremnum, or Pothos as they're commonly known. And I'm going to leave that one as a top cut. I think cuttings can look really nice as a display, like on the table, like instead of some cut flowers. I think cuttings are just as nice to look at. And yeah, with these I can either start a new plant or I can add it into existing pots of neon that I already have. There we go. And then for my Rhaphidophora Tetrasperma, I'm just going to give those a little rinse, and then I'm going to pop them in water as well. Here, we've definitely got a few things ticked off the list, but I realise I'm desperately in need of ordering some supplies. I need to make up a new soil mix, so I need all my ingredients for that. I need more moss as well. So we'll see how the Neon Pothos does with that transfer, and if it seems to take well, then I will do the same with my Mandula. And I've got lots of other things I need to do, and I've got some really nice ideas for things I want to do out on my patio as well. The garden's going to be a long-term project, but definitely just brightening up the patio for the summer months. So yeah, thank you so much for watching today, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.